Hi everyone, it's Karen. Welcome to another video from me. And this month, the theme for the Creative Challenge by Lavinia Stamps is Snow Blizzard. So here is my offering to you. I must admit it was a little tricky for me this one because the weather outside is bright, it's beautiful, this promise of spring is in the air. But when I created it, I thought, I actually really like that. I've used Fairy Bridge, Tree of Dreams, 2 colours in distress, Oxides, and some white paint. We'll get started. 2 colours that I've used, Faded Jeans and Blueprint Sketch. This will work just as easily with distress inks as the Oxides. I'm using Nocturne for the stamping. So I'm taking my Faded Jeans and I'm going to smush it on my mat, just like that. I'm going to take my spritzy water bottle. And what I want to do is put some water around the edge of my ink pads, but not saturate it too much. The reason I want to do that is because when I pick the ink up onto my card, I don't want the harsh lines that were there from my ink pad. So that's all I'm going to do is just tap my card onto the ink on my mat. Oh, I quite like that. I'm going to stop. Now, there's a heap of paint still on my mat, so using another piece of card, your journal page, whatever you like, you could mop that up. Just going to have one more go. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is just heat it. Just dry it off. You can wait for it to dry on its own or heat it with a heat gun. Now you can see while I was heat setting that, I kept turning the card over, and that was to straighten it out, because as you heat it this side it curls upwards, and when you heat it over it flattens out. The other thing that I kept doing was kept the heat gun moving, and that's so that you're less likely to get any burns in your card. So you can see, look at how an interesting background you get from just that gentle, simple smushing. So, stamping time. First thing I'm going to do is take my Fairy Bridge, ink it up with Nocturne. And you just have to decide which way up you want it. I'm going to do it this way. Stamping the Fairy Bridge 3/4 of the way down the card. Taking my Tree of Dreams and the same, inking it up. This is a lovely stamp. Look at the huge interest that we've got in the branches. Gives us a huge amount of scope to do all sorts of fun things with. So I'm going to hang this over this side. Ink it up a second time, and this time bring it over here. There we have. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blend round the edges. But before I do that, I'm just going to heat set the Nocturne. That way I'm not going to get any smudges. So here we go, I'm using Blueprint Sketch. Just want to say it looks a bit of a mess at the moment, doesn't it? But you'll see that adds to the overall effect. We're after a snow blizzard, okay? But you'll see what happens as we continue. So I'm just going to use a piece of paper to protect the rest of the work, and taking my smoothie, moving it in a circular motion, I'm going to go all around the edge of my card. You can bring it closer into the middle, and that will frame the whole picture really nicely. And you can see down the side there where we had those watermarks, it's just faded quite into the background. So slowly our little scene is coming together here. When I'm using the smoothies, I will start gently. If I show you here, I'll start gently on the edge, and then as I get a feel for how much ink is on the sponge and how hard I need to press, I can go in a bit harder with a bit more gusto. So again, that dribble that we had down the side, that's now evaporated into the background. Just want to bring a bit more here. There we go. And you'll see once we colour the water and put our splatters on, it will all look seamless and as though it's always meant to be like that. I'm going to fix this up because that will create a mess. I'm going to take my white acrylic paint and my fan brush. Tiny bit more there. And I always like to water my paint down. That way I get nice fluid splatters. You can use a Posca pen if you prefer. Just going to see, I think, no, it's okay. Look at that, fun! Okay, and then I took a little paintbrush, the finest one that I could find, and it's a really, I don't know if you can see, it's really scabby. It's seen better days, but it works perfectly for this. I'm just going to dab it into my paint, and then on the edges of the rocks you can see I'm pouncing with my paintbrush here. I'm not following the lines of the stones, I'm just pouncing, just as snow would do. We had snow the other week actually, and I was watching. I ran outside and I watched how it fell on the trees for this very reason. And it doesn't all fall evenly. So I'm just putting the snow on the stones. It would fall in very random ways. And then for the water, I'm following the lines. Tracy has designed this stamp so beautifully, so it's really easy just to follow the lines in the water. And then you want to put a bit of snow on the top of the stones, because that's what would normally have happened. And then the water just glistens. And then the snow would fall on top of the fairy bridge as well, settling on each of those stones. This is a beautiful, beautiful stamp. Such detail here. And then, this is where my homework of watching the snow fall on the trees the other day. The snow would just fall on the branches that are laying flat, and very unevenly too. So not overthinking this at all. You can see I'm doing it very roughly, and it will give you a really nice overall look when you're done. There we go. Does that look like a snow blizzard or what? Perhaps a bit more. We can soften it. So you can play for ages here. There we go. Now, to mount it, I used, my first mount is about 3mm bigger each side than the original card base, and then this one is 6mm each side. So those are the proportions I like to work with. I don't measure them specifically, but I've just found that that sort of is a good guide. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love to see what you make, so please tag me. Bye for now.